morning, friends. Hope you are all fine at your home. So, we were doing, we will do today as cultural consequences. And yesterday I told you the advocates, yeah, yesterday I told you advocates of economic globalization argue that now, all of you that we are doing the globalization and advocate जो ग्लोबलाइजेशन को एक्सेप्ट करते हैं एडवोकेट्स ऑफ इकोनॉमिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन आर्ग्यू दैट इट जनरेट ग्रेटर इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ wherever we have some development, some people are against that particular development, some people are for that development. So the economic globalization, you say WTO, World Trade Organization के through economic globalization में थी, many people were against of that particular globalization and many people were for the globalization. So if we concentrate on this advocate of economic globalization, argues that it generates greater economic growth and well-being of a larger section of population. Means globalization से हमें basically जो larger section है population की उसको बहुत benefit हुआ है. Obviously, I told you that lots of things are at your just at your doorstep. And the consumer, they have varieties of the consumer goods. There have उनके पास varieties है. For example, globalization का मैं छोटा सा आपको example देना चाहता हूँ. Before the globalization, we were having just two form of cars. One was ambassador and one was Fiat. Right? Ambassador was Indian. Fiat was from another from I think if it is I'm not wrong, American or English company from England. So what happened? We were having two type of cars, Fiat and Ambassador. Now you see after the globalization, how many cars are running, how many form of cars are running on the Indian roads. बहुत सारी गाड़ियां आ चुकी हैं हमारे. Every year some type of new cars are coming and introducing by the companies and all foreign companies, right? Lots of foreign companies are marketing in India. So if you have to, okay, one thing you have to have the money in your pocket. Then you have the larger choice. But no one can force you to buy the only one particular equipment or one particular product. So, as economic growth and well-being for the larger section of the population. When there is a deregulation, deregulation नहीं है. पहले आपको पास सीमेंट जो होता था राशन कार्ड से मिलता था. राशन सीमेंट ये it was selling by the ration card. राशन कार्ड के ऊपर आपको सीमेंट मिलता था. Now it's open market. But many things are open now. आपके जो पासपोर्ट है काफी लचीले हो गए. It's very easy to get a passport. It's not very difficult and complicated to get a visa. Why? Because people are free to move from one place to the another place. So greater trade among countries allows each economy to do what it does best. This will benefit the whole world. They also argue that the economic globalization is inevitable. Like I told you, inevitable जिसे रोका ना जा सके. तो economic globalization को आप रोक नहीं सकते. इसके अपने फायदे भी हैं, अपने नुकसान भी हैं. Everything. But if you go on the road, if you're walking the road, if we are driving in the car, it has its own benefits. It has its own dangers also. Right? So you cannot avoid to do the new things in fear of danger. डर के मारे आप नई चीजों को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे. डर के मारे you are not going to accept or welcome the new leaf of the civilization. So you cannot do it. You have to accept the two sides of it. Right? So this was the economic globalization. Now I am coming to the cultural side. Here it is cultural consequences. Now, what is the globalization? How the globalization affects the cultural aspect? पहले क्या होता था? पहले you were having, your joint family. You were living in a joint family where all the people, all the relations, they used to live in one house and the kitchen was one. Slow and suddenly what happened? That joint family divided into, huge family, छोटी family बन गई, right? And some now earlier it was 4, 5 kids from one family. Now it's a one or two kids. Right now, earlier you have to go to the only one school, that is the government school. Now lots of private schools. Earlier you have to go out to the to watch a movie in the cinema hall and to wear a particular dress. Now Western dresses are there. Right? New malls are there. Variety of production is there. New job opportunities are there. Right? Well, education system is absolutely changed. How is how it comes due to the globalization, and your culture is also changing. पहले क्या होता था? Marriages and celebrations are also changing. Western Westernization is there. Westernization, right? तो कल्चर के अंदर भी आपका एक ग्लोबलाइजेशन आते हैं. पहले क्या होता था? लोग सब नीचे बैठ के खाते on the floor, right? But now you have got the dining table, you have got the AC, you have got the best best customization in your home. So that is culture. After culture, दिन ब दिन change होता जा रहा है, right? So the consequences of globalization are not confined only to sphere of politics. Politics के अंदर या के ऊपर ही confined नहीं है. एक ही जगह पे नहीं है politics हो या economy. Politics and economy के ऊपर आपका globalization affect कर रहा है. नहीं, it is affecting every part of your life, every step of your life. So consequences of globalization are not confined only to the sphere of politics and economic globalization. It affects us in our home also, in what we drink, right? What we drink, we eat, what we wear, are engaged in what we think, and obviously जो हम सोचते हैं ना, वो basically target what is it? Look now, earlier you were having, you don't have any communication system, right? And you don't have the TV. Now your watch is having a screen. You can see everything in on the watch, on your wristwatch. Then you can know the globe is shrinking day by day. दुनिया बहुत सिकुड़ती जा रही है, and it's in your pocket, it's in your mobile. You can talk to anyone, you can watch anyone, you can see anything happening throughout the world, and it is global throughout the world that our we are shrinking, we are close to each other. हमारे आइडियाज बहुत वाइड हो चुके हैं लोगों के साथ. आप देख, you are not traveling to talk anyone now. You are not traveling to talk anyone. आप किसी से भी बात कर सकते हो. वो दुनिया खत्म हो चुकी है, दुनिया बच चुकी है, राइट? सो दैट इज द कल्चर आस्पेक्ट. हम जो पीते हैं, हम जो खाते हैं, नाउ यू ईट द बर्गर. आप बर्गर खाते हो ना, चाइनीज खाना खाते हो. व्हाट डू यू मीन द चाइनीज खाना खाते हैं? लाइक मैगी एंड ऑल नूडल्स. क्या है ये ग्लोबलाइजेशन? क्या है? Now you can cook the things from the watching the any type of videos and all. No, the consequences of globalization are not confined to the part of politics or economy. In what we drink or what we think, that is also under the globalization's cover. The cultural effects of globalization leads to the fear that this process poses shaping the culture in the world. Again, I told you there are two types of people. One thing positive, one thing negative. One is positive. I mean, हम ये ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं कि हर एक चीज के दो पहलू हैं. There are one is two sides of a same coin, right? So one is the negative, one is the positive. So that is One said that globalization poses a threat to a cultural system. Now, globalization, you are the culture, the Western culture, that enters into our own room, on our society. हमारे घर तक, हमारे सभ्य समाज तक आ चुका है. So the cultural aspect of globalization leads to a fear. यानी जो social negative so या दूसरे साइड पे सोचते हैं लेकिन that it's a fear psychosis, it's a fear process poses threat to the culture in the world. It does so. ऐसा नहीं है. It's not so कि they are wrong. I'm not saying that they are wrong. They are correct on India thinking here. वो सच है कि बात वो सही कह रहे हैं कि कल्चर को भी थ्रेट हो चुका है ग्लोबलाइजेशन. Because globalization leads to the rise of uniform culture or what is called cultural homogenization. सभी उसी कल्चर को एक्सेप्ट करते हैं, राइट. तो अब ये पहले आप माँ कहते थे ना माँ. अब आप कहीं आप घर के ही पास जाके आप माँ को मॉम कहते हैं, पापा कहते हैं. हम पहले पिताजी कहा करते थे, डैड कहते हैं. What is this? This is the effect of cultural globalization. Mummy कहते हैं. Mummy is not there. माँ was there in Hindu civilization. माँ का. अब आप mummy कहते हैं. Right, and you don't think that it's a part of a globalization. Right. So that's why the other people say that it affects our culture very deeply. Right? Or what we call culture homogenization. The rise of a uniform culture was the element of global culture, what we have in the name of global culture. Western culture is the rest of the world. We have already studied the phenomena like which we have already studied the phenomena as the soft power of youth hegemony in practice. The popularity of a burger of blue jeans. Now, it is dresses now. Combination of Western and Indian burgers. Blue jeans is a westernization and kurta is Indian culture. The combination of westernization and Indian culture. Blue jeans and kurta. Right? And it is very comfortable to use. It means the society accepts that particular thing which is comfortable for them, comfortable to accept. That is in your culture also. So we can't say that globalization all is always having a negative impact on the society, a negative impact on the culture. It depends on you which type of culture you want. Nobody is forcing you. Let me tell you one thing. If you one is uniform. Let me tell you one thing. There's a lot of difference between uniform and dress. Dress, what you wear. You go to the market, it depends on your dress. Earlier, it was salwar kurta and all. Now, everyone is maybe he or she, they are wearing the jeans, right? And kurta is there, right? During the winter season or summer season, khadi is there, khadi, right? So, it's a combination of Indian culture and Western culture. To what? To the globalization. So the popularity of burger of being in some margin has a lot to do with the powerful influence of the magical way of life. McDonald's, what is that? अब ढाबा में जाते हैं ना खाना खाते हैं, वहाँ पे जाके कौन सा चीज McDonald's के burger चाहिए, particularly you have to go particular that particular shop or restaurant, right? So that is a आपके खाने से लेकर रहने तक westernization occupy, and that westernization, somebody says it's a good, somebody says it's a word, and if words are good, that is a separate issue, but it is the effect of globalization, cultural globalization. और cultural globalization ने आपकी जिंदगी को affect किया है, right? So thus the culture of the politically and economically dominant society leaves its imprint of less powerful society. We are as now we are accepting the Western culture. We are accepting the Western culture. So the culture is in a changing form. So हम बहुत जल्दी से we are very easy mind we accept the Western culture. So those who make this argument often draw attention to the McDonaldization. We call it McDonaldization. Just I told you just now, McDonaldization. Yes, McDonaldization. So this is McDonaldization of the world, with culture seeking buy into dominant American dream. So many people, if I told you that, the farmers selling their lands and they are going to America or Canada or Australia, they are selling their land. अपनी जमीनों को बेचकर वो अमेरिका जाते हैं, कनाडा जाते हैं, ऑस्ट्रेलिया जाते हैं, न्यूजीलैंड जाते हैं और वहाँ पे काम करते हैं because they think that is much better than to work so hard in their field. So this is called marginalization. This is dangerous. I'm not saying it's a good or not. The book is saying it's a good. This is dangerous. But you cannot force a person to do whatever he don't want to do. एक आदमी को आपने फोर्स नहीं कर सकते कि आप वो काम करो जो करना नहीं चाहता because he has lots of options. So this is answer. At the same time, it would be a this is dangerous. At the same time, it's dangerous not only for the poor countries. Yes, it's dangerous for the poor countries, but for the whole of the humanity. For it leads to the shrinking of the rich culture heritage of the entire globe. ये पूरे के पूरे सिस्टम को अपने और कर रहा है. You know, America wants to spread its economy. Every country wants to spread its economy. So how can it do it? How can it do it? It has to capture the other markets of the world. China wants to boom its economy. How it will do it? It will capture your economy. बात बहुत सिंपल है. बड़ी मछली छोटे मछली को खाएगी. That's what it do it. It's a nature. If I told you, if you are ready, if you are not ready for war, the war will affect you. It means you have to go to the war because your opponent knows that you are weak. Got my point? So if we want to avoid the war, we have to be ready for the war. So if you want to say that no to the globalization, then you have to be very strong to accept the globalization and filter the negative one. At the same time, it would be a mistake to assume that the cultural consequences of globalization are only negative. I told you this now. We don't think every time negative aspects. You know, negativity only. For example, large population. India is the second large population in the world. It has its negative aspects also, it's the positive aspects. And Sweden, in many Western countries, even Japan, they have the zero growth of population. Young generation वहाँ पे खत्म होती जा रही है. Why? They don't go. They are not asking for the new, newborn baby. They're not. That's why the population is in a zero growth. That is also having a Sweden, Denmark, right? So at the same time, it would be a mistake to assume that cultural consequences of globalization are only negative. It has a positive impact also. Cultures are not static things. Culture को हम बांध के नहीं रख सकते. Let me tell you one thing. Culture, आपकी सभ्यता जो है, आप उसको बांध के नहीं रख सकते. आपकी लैंग्वेज ये आपकी अपनी धरोहर है. आपकी सोच, आपका कल्चर, आपकी सभ्यता ये आपकी अपनी है. आप इसे it depends on you how you expand it, right? So all culture except हमारे कल्चर बाहर के इन्फ्लुएंस को एक्सेप्ट करेगा ही करेगा जो उसको अच्छा लगता है. Earlier, lots of people used to come to India for education. Let me tell you one thing. Lots of people they used to come to get the education in Nalanda University, where Chanakya was professor of economics. अर्थशास्त्र के वो प्रोफेसर है. अब बहुत बड़े अध्यापक थे अर्थशास्त्र के, इकोनॉमिक और पॉलिटिकल साइंस, राइट, राजनीति विज्ञान. But now we are going to other countries to get the education. So I told you culture, we are getting close to each other. We have to say yes to the other part of the world. Otherwise we will be nowhere. So all cultures except outside influence all the same time. Some external influence are negative because they reduce our choices. So obviously it's a negative or positive. It depends on you. So pani ka ek glass. Somebody says it's a half empty. I will say it's a half filled. It depends on your own vision. आप क्या सोचते हो क्या देखते हो. But sometimes external influences simply enlarge our choices, and sometimes they modify our culture without overwhelming with it. The burger is no substitute for any other thing, and therefore does not pose any real challenge. It is simply added onto your food cart. ये आप क्या खाना पसंद करते हो. आपको मेन्यू दिया जाता है ना रेस्टोरेंट के अंदर, आप क्या खाना पसंद, और आपके मेन्यू में ऊपर लिखा होता है चाइनीज फूड, इंडियन डेजर्ट, Chinese food, Indian lunch, Chinese lunch, or American lunch. Depends on you what type of choice you need. Now, global. It means what you mean by this. It means that the globalization is your choice, right? So it is simply added on the and simply added to your choice. Blue jeans, on the other hand, can go well with the homespred Hardy Kotel, which I told you just give the example, right? So while cultural harmonization is part, yes, while cultural homogenization is an aspect of global, it's an aspect, and it could be a question for you in the final examination, how the homogenization, homogenization is an aspect of globalization. It has 3 mark question. It's a 3 mark question. You can give an answer very well. The same process also generates precisely the opposite effect. It leads to each culture becoming more different from the distinctive. This phenomenon is called cultural heterogenization. Heterogenization, this is not to deny that there remain differences in parts when culture interacts, but instead more fundamentally to suggest that the culture exchange is a really one way. Let me tell you one thing. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम अमेरिका के कल्चर को एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं. Let me tell you one thing. America is also accepting your culture, your thinking. They all somewhat somehow they are also not very much positive about the globalization, but very much positive about the globalization. Okay, ISKCON. ISKCON is a center of Krishna, right? It is throughout the world. Many people they say in America Hare Rama Hare Krishna or English means your Hare Rama Hare Krishna not is in your house only. It is an American house also. They accept that that Indian culture is a much better than American culture. They accept it. They accept it. अब भी हम अपने पेरेंट्स को बहुत प्यार से बहुत सम्मान के साथ रखते हैं. Right? They said the Indian family they are mixed with each other. वो एक दूसरे से जुड़े हुए हैं. In America, in every marriage there is a divorce. But we think the marriage is a divine aspect. right? We respect the other part of the society. They don't. They don't accept it, right? So this is a cultural globalization has its negative aspects also, it's a positive aspect. Now it depends on you which type of aspect you welcome it, right? No one is going to force you, no one is going to force you, right? So, for example, education system. One is a government school, one is a private school. Private school has its own culture, its own society. Government school has its own culture, its own society. Okay. Next is India and globalization. We are coming to the far end of the chapter, right? Now, India and the globalization is a very important part, very interesting part. Okay, we said earlier that globalization has occurred in earlier period of history. I told you, globalization is not from in 20th century, right? It is during 4,500 years ago, globalization, when Harappa or Indus Valley civilization was there. Harappa and Indus Valley civilization. So that time, but they don't have the name, They don't have the name, globalization. This name. This is the flows, this flows pertaining to the movement of capital. What do you mean by globalization? Flowing of capital. Again, I'm telling you, revising you the past. Flowing of the capital, commodities, and ideas. Three things: capital, commodities, and ideas. ये तीनों जब मिल जाते हैं ना, तब इसे कहा जाता है ग्लोबलाइजेशन. जब आती है आर्थिक जगत में, सांस्कृतिक जगत में, या कल्चर की जगत में एक क्रांति आती है. ग्लोबलाइजेशन इज अ टाइप ऑफ क्रांति, revolution, revolution of your economy, revolution of your ideas, revolution of your capital, revolution of your commodities, and revolution in your living standards. How it comes? It comes through the capital, the commodities, and ideas, which people get from other parts of the world. And people go back several centuries in the Indian history. From the first century, we are with the globalization. During the colonial period, as a consequence of Britain's imperial ambitions, India became an exporter of primary goods and raw materials and consumer of finished goods. Right. It means sorry, India became an exporter of primary goods. जो basic goods है ना हम export करते थे. Importance of the big population of India, the big population of India. So the consumer idea is good after independence because of the experience of the British. We decided to mix things ourselves. उसके बाद क्या हुआ? हमने अपनी चीजों को ब्रिटिशर्स के जाने के बाद उन चीजों को खुद बनाना शुरू. उसके बाद हमने क्या कहा सोचा you know in the coming 20th century at the time coming in 20th century we should have minimum export sorry minimum import and maximum minimum import and maximum. So we decided to make things ourselves rather than relying on the others, self-dependent. So we also decided not to allow others to export to us, so our own products could learn to make them. हम एक्सपोर्ट के ऊपर हम ज्यादातर इम्पोर्ट के ऊपर से डिपेंड रह रहे हैं, दूसरों से सामान लेना और अपने सामान को बाहर ना बेचना. So that what happened with this section we were basically self-dependent now, self-realized. Well, we know that our market is booming up with a lot of production, right? So our own product could learn to make this protectionization. generated its own problems, while some educates were made in certain arenas. Critical sectors such as health, housing, and primary education did not receive attention. अब क्या हुआ? हमने बड़ी चीजों को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, हमने बड़ी चीजों को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, बट जो बेसिक चीजें हैं उनको हम भूल गए. वो बेसिक चीजें क्या थी? हेल्थ, housing for everyone, right? So, and we have got the primary. Now, when we decide that education is one of the most aspects, one of the most important aspects, we said primary education, second up to secondary education, it will be free, started from the government, government organization. सबको plus two तक या primary से लेकर schooling education free है, right? So food सबको मिले और एक shelter सबको. So earlier we were not able to put our focus on these three things. That was health, that was housing, and the primary. They did not receive the attention, right? So what which they deserve, which they deserve. India had a fairly sluggish rate of economic growth, sluggish rate of economic growth. तो इस कारण क्या हुआ कि हमारा जो इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ था ना वो बहुत स्लगिश हो गया, बहुत धीरे हो गया, क्योंकि बेसिकली कईयों के पास रहने की जगह नहीं थी. Landless farmers were there, food was not there, health and sanitation was not there, and above all, education was not education. So this was the aspect. So India had a fairly sluggish state of economic growth. Why India was having, it could be a question for you for the final examination. Why India was having sluggish rate of growth, economic growth during the early part of Indian independence, earlier phase of Indian independence. जब भारत आजाद हुआ तब हमारा ग्रोथ जो था इसमें sluggish था, क्योंकि हमने बेसिक चीजों पे ध्यान ही नहीं दिया. ना हमने इकोनॉमिक के ऊपर ध्यान दिया, ना तो हमने हाउसिंग के ऊपर, प्राइमरी एजुकेशन के ऊपर, हेल्थ के ऊपर, फूड के ऊपर कोई ना मॉडर्नाइजेशन के ऊपर ध्यान दिया. तो हमारी जो ग्रोथ की इकोनॉमी थी काफी sluggish, right? So next and next video, next part, I'm going to stop from here, and this is the last paragraph which I want to tell you. In 1991, fast I will do it. Responding to a financial crisis and to design 1991 to desire for higher rates of economic growth, India embarked on the program of economic reform. We accepted it's the last paragraph. Right. India embarked on a program of economic reform. हमने economic reforms लेके आए that are sought increasing to deregulate various sectors, including trade and foreign investment. We were putting a lot of pressure on the investment and trade. While it may be too early to say how good it was, the ultimate test is not high growth rates, as making sure that the benefit of growth are shared by everyone is better. Uh, Making sure that benefit of growth are shared so that everyone is better. You know, हमने इसका थोड़ा कम ध्यान दिया कि that the share should be for everyone. Better rate of growth should be everyone. That's why our growth of economy was sluggish. Right? I will define it in a proper another way, in an expand way tomorrow. Till then, take care.